Hello, 5th graders. Welcome to lesson 5.4, Add and Subtract Fractions with Unlike Denominators. Let's get started. Today's objective is I can evaluate addition and subtraction with fractions of unlike denominators by using models and equivalent fractions with 100% accuracy in multiple attempts. Please pause now to type the I can and by statement in your digital math notebook. All right, guys, remember that when you see the I icon, that you're just watching me for a moment. This is not in your digital math notebook. Put your pencil down and listen to me teach math. In today's lesson, we're going to be adding and subtracting fractions. But the thing here is that they do not have a common denominator. A denominator is the number on the bottom. So in our first example, we have 3 and 6. Remember that these are pieces of 3 or pieces of 6. So I can't just add 3 and 6 together because they're not the same size pieces. It's like adding a half of a lemon plus a half of a watermelon. The pieces just aren't the same size. So that's where we have to start. We have to start with equivalent fractions and finding the same size pieces. So what we want to do is we want to find a number that both 3 and 6 can be, so they can be the same size. So the way that we would do this is we would count by threes, multiples of 3, 3, 6, 9, 12, and we would count by sixes, 6, 12, 18, and we would find numbers that they have in common. They both, for example, have the number 6, and they also have the number 12. We call this its least common multiple. The least common multiple is the smallest number that they have in common. I could use the 12, and the 12 would work. But if I start with the least common multiple, it means that I have to do less simplifying on the end of my answer. So if I know that both of these numbers can be the number 6, then I'm going to change them so that both numbers have an equivalent fraction with a denominator of 6. Now I know that 1/6 already has a denominator of 6, so I don't need to change it. But I do need to change 1/3 into something over 6. In order to change a 3 into a 6, I multiply by 2. And whatever I do to the bottom, I have to do to the top. So 1 times 2 is 2. So now my problem becomes 2/6 plus 1/6. And now that we have common denominators, the same number on the bottom, we add our 2 numbers on the top because that's telling us I have 2 pieces of 6 plus 1 piece of 6 would tell me that I have 3 pieces of 6. Now notice that I didn't add the 6 plus 6. I only add the numerators, the numbers on top. Now, once we're done with our adding or subtracting, which we're going to do in a moment, we can simplify our fraction. I know that 3 goes into both of these numbers, so I could reduce this down to 1/2. So my answer to this would be 1/2. Let's try again with subtracting. In this subtraction problem, we have an 8 on the bottom and a 2 on the bottom. So they do not have the same size pieces. So remember, we start out by counting 8, 16, 24, and we count by 2s, 2, 4, 6, 8. Look, they both have in common the number 8. So we want the smallest number they have in common. 16 would also work, 24 would work, but we want to find the smallest number they have in common. So 6/8 already has an 8 on the bottom, but we need to change 1/2 into something over 8. So let's see, in order to change a 2 into an 8, we multiply by 4. If we multiply by 4 on the bottom, we need to multiply by 4 on the top. So 1 times 4 is 4. Then we can add our fractions. So we have 6/8 plus 4 eighths. Oh, hold on just a second. Let me back up. This is a subtraction sign. We have 6/8 minus 4/8. And the same rule applies. We're going to subtract our numerators, but leave the denominator because that's telling us how big the pieces are. So I have 6 pieces of 8, and then I take away 4 of those pieces, which means now I have 2 pieces of 8. Let's try some together. All right, friends, the digital math notebook sign in the bottom means that you have this in your digital math notebook. Go ahead and fill in the boxes as we solve these problems together. Our first problem is an addition problem. We are adding 1/3 plus 2/9. The first thing to notice is that we have different numbers on the bottom. So we want to find a number that both 3 and 9 could be. I could multiply them and use 27, but let's make a list of some multiples and see if we can get a smaller number. So 3, 6, 9, 12, and then 9, 18, 27. Look, I noticed that 9 is on both of my lists, and 2/9 is already there, so that means I won't have to change it. Now, the examples I've given you, we've always only had to change one, but there will be some circumstances where you have to change both bottom numbers. But let's keep solving this problem. So 2/9 is already done, but I need to change 1/3 into something over 9. In order to make 3 into 9, we multiply by 3, and whatever we do to the bottom, we have to do to the top. So 1 times 3 gives me 3. So this would be 3/9 plus 2/9 gives me 5/9. Now stop and check. Do 5 and 9 have anything in common other than the number 1? Nope, they don't. So that means that my answer is 5/9. Let's try it again with subtracting. We have a 2 on the bottom and a 6 on the bottom. I know that I can leave my 6 alone and change just my 2. So in order to make a 1/2 into a 1/6, I need to multiply by 3 on the bottom. So now I'm going to multiply by 3 on the top. 1 times 3 is 3. So I have 3/6 plus, here I go again. This one's subtracting, minus 1/6. And I know that my denominator is not going to change because that's the size of my pieces. So the denominator stays, and then 3 minus 1 is 2. And now 2/6 is not in simplest form because I know that 2/6 has a common factor of 2. So I can reduce this down to 1/3. So my simplest form answer would be 1/3. I know you don't have boxes for all of this math in your digital math notebook, but make sure that you fill in the answers and all the boxes provided. Pause now if you need to do that. All right, 5th graders, time for the lesson activity. I'll get you started, and then you'll complete these problems on your own in your digital math notebook. So our first problem, we have a 4 and an 8, and I know that I can make a 4 into an 8. So I'm going to go ahead and leave my 7/8 alone and change my 1/4 into something over 8. In order to change a 4 into an 8, I need to multiply by 2. That means we need to do the same to the top. So 1 times 2 is 2. So that means that I have 7/8. I'm going to rewrite it in a new color. 7/8, and this one's subtracting, minus 2/8. My denominator is going to stay the same, and 7 minus 2 is 5. So there's that one. Easy peasy. So once you know the steps, it goes pretty quick. All right, what about number 6? I'll get you started on this one, and then you'll finish. So let's see. We have 5 and 10. We can leave 3/10 and change 2/5 into something over 10. That would be multiplying by 2. 5 times 2 equals 10. So then 2 times 2 equals 4. So that means that our problem with common denominators becomes 4/10 plus 3/10 And I will leave you to answer that question. So you need to know what number goes right here. All right, 5th graders, good luck. You're almost finished. When you've watched this lesson and completed all your notes, complete the exit slip and then be ready to meet your teacher at the table. Great job!